all news, all the time. This is 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM. You give us 22 minutes, we'll give you the world.
How about a gorgeous 74 degrees and clear skies for you at 420? I'm Larry Mullins, and here's what's happening as you head home. Here's the latest on President Trump's plans of sending the National Guard in Chicago. It says here, Chicago bracing for a surge of military troops. The top cop here in our city says it's revolting and already telling Trump, don't try that in New York. A big fire on the Upper West today, leaving 7 people injured. The FDNY says it started on the 8th floor of an apartment on a hallway couch. More controversy surrounding City Hall now, with the Daily News reporting Mayor Adams has yet to make good on an election year promise to boost wages for FDNY EMS workers, and it's starting to grow legs now. The Federal Appeals Court upheld writer E. Jean Carroll's $83 million jury award against Donald Trump for defaming her. And an ex-NYPD cop turned demon hunter ready to slay supernatural crooks again after he was spooked into a hiatus by sinister warnings. 1010 Winds AccuWeather, mainly clear skies, cool tonight, dropping down to a low of 57 degrees. I can see that guy hunting down demons and ghosts. Boo! And he takes off for 2 years. Oh, my gosh. Winds News Time 421. Let's get you where you need to go. Here's Greg Wright.
Well, it's enough to frighten anybody in Queens. Southbound side of the Van Wyck coming down to the Long Island Expressway. Big crash, has only one lane getting by. This is why the Queensbound Whitestone Bridge and the southbound Whitestone and Van Wyck are all slowed down to the LI. You stay with the Throgs Neck Clearview combination instead. Out of Nassau and into Queens, the westbound Grand Central between the Cross Island and the Clearview. You got the 2 right lanes blocked because of a crash and a bad ride all the way back to Shelter Rock Road. Now, I'm not promising you perfection on the westbound Long Island Expressway, but it's better right now than dealing with the Northern State Parkway. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. Citybound George is good enough. West side, best of it out. Northbound Deegan, your only hope out of the Bronx. Lincoln's about 10 minutes in. Outbound Lincoln Tunnel, 20 to 30 from 11th because of an earlier breakdown in the tunnel. 9th is better. Holland Tunnel right now, we're looking at least a half hour out of town and on the Jersey side either way, but especially inbound. The Skyway is the worst of it. Citybound Midtown Tunnel, Brooklyn bound Brooklyn Bridge, they are all bunched up as well. To and from Staten Island, the bridges behave, but the westbound Staten Island Expressway extra tough from the Verrazano to the West Shore. Greg Rice, 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM.
New York City Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch made it clear this morning during a Citizens Budget Committee meeting, New York does not want or need the National Guard on the streets of New York. And any talk of that New York is out of control with crime, bogus.
NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch called the idea of the National Guard coming here to the city revolting.
I would take many more gun cases federally if we had more federal prosecutors. Let's focus on the right type of partnership with the federal government. The National Guard happens not to be that thing.
She says the NYPD can handle crime just fine without any federal backup.
The National Guard come here and stand on street corners and walk through the subway system. How that would work and what that would be, I'm not sure yet, but I hope and expect that that will not occur on my watch in New York City.
Mary Lynn Buckley, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
It's a similar reaction today from officials in Chicago, where Trump is threatening to make the Windy City the next stop on his army tour. City officials in New York, Chicago, D.C., and Baltimore, and other areas where he's sent in the military or planning to, say this is all a power play, and it's playing out in cities run by Democrats, adding Trump hasn't even mentioned other towns which happen to be Republican, which have far greater crime problems than New York or Chicago. There's no timetable on when he plans to carry out his next military dispatch. Commissioner Tisch says law enforcement people come to New York to train with us. We got this. We don't need any help here. Well, they're saying goodbye today on Long Island to a man who made his mark on the civil rights movement in the 1960s as a member of the Greensboro Four. We're talking about Joseph McNeil, who died last week at the age of 83. This was the gentleman who sat at a counter at a Woolworths in the South with 3 of his friends. They were not served. It led to a number of protest marches and rallies, which included blacks, white, everybody, until they got something resolved. Well, I had the privilege of meeting Brother McNeil at his home in Hempstead. What a gentle and humble giant. I mentioned earlier that we talked about his sit-in. He says all he wanted was a slice of pie, but he and his friends were denied because he was black. He says once the dust settled, he went back in and bought the pie, and it was the worst thing he has ever tasted. And he says He never went back in there and ordered that pie again. But he said, Larry, it was the principle of the thing, but the crust was nasty. 7 people hurt after a big fire at an apartment on the Upper West. The FDNY says a couch caught fire in a hallway around 1 this morning. This is on Amsterdam at a 13-story high-rise. Officials say the fire was contained to the 8th. It took at least 80 firefighters to put it out. And now Bloomberg Money Watch.
Gains today for the main indexes on Wall Street, including a record for the Nasdaq. It rose 98, nearly 0.5%. Dow rose 114. S&P added 14. We appear to have entered a buyer's market in housing. In some markets, especially in the South and West, homeowners eager to sell are lowering their price or offering other perks, such as helping with closing costs. Skyrocketing housing values and a shortage of homes on the market have given buyers the upper hand. Realtor.com says the number of active home listings increased in July for the 21st month in a row, climbing nearly 25% from a year earlier. I'm Andrew O'Day, Bloomberg Money Watch on 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM.
1010 Wins.
They know what's going on.
It's quick, it's reliable.
They're always on top of breaking news. 1010 Wins.
All news all the time.
On 92.3 FM.
AccuWeather says mainly clear and cool tonight with a low of 57. Wins News Time, 4:30.
Good afternoon. I'm Lori Madden. FDNY emergency service workers are still waiting for a raise. They say the mayor promised them, but things seem to have hit a wall.
One of the reasons for the impasse could be the mayor's indicted top advisor, Ingrid Lewis-Martin, heard on a recording obtained by the Daily News saying EMTs don't deserve a raise because they don't work on the same level as cops and firefighters. EMS Local 2057 President Orrin Barzilay said he had a similar conversation with Lewis-Martin last year.
It's just shocking for her to feel this way when the mayor feels a different way. I mean, he's yet to implement it or take any action with his promises. It was disturbing to hear it.
A spokeswoman for Mayor Adams said Lewis-Martin was not a part of any official contract negotiations, which remain ongoing. Marla Diamond, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
Wins News Time, 4:31. Let's get you where you need to go. Here's Greg Rice.
Well, the trouble continues in Queens. Southbound Whitestone-Van Wyck combination crawling from the Whitestone Bridge down to the Long Island Expressway, where an accident still has multiple lanes blocked. You want the Throgs Neck Clearview combo out of the Bronx instead. Into Queens out of Nassau. Westbound Grand Central between the Cross Island and Clearview. 2 right lanes are shut with a collision. That makes a bad ride worse from Shelter Rock Road. Long Island Expressway out of Nassau into Queens won't be perfect or good, but it's better, and that's not nothing. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. Citybound, well, the George is in pretty good shape. Getting out of town, West Side Highway sluggish, but moving out of the 60s. Better than what the East Side throws at you. And the northbound Deegan, the best you do out of the Bronx. Lincoln, it's about 10 minutes in. Outbound Lincoln, about 15 to 20 from 11th, better from 9th. 30 to 45 minutes home at the Holland. On the Jersey side, stay with the Newark Bay. The Skyway is the worst of it right now in either direction. Through New Jersey on the 78 Express lanes westbound after the Garden State Parkway in Union. That's a crash, and you've got at least one right lane knocked out. A very slow ride through that stretch. Greg Rice, 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM.
Let's get a check now of your AccuWeather forecast. Here's meteorologist Brian Thompson.
It's going to be a mostly dry forecast, Lori, as we get through most of the week ahead, outside of maybe a little bit of rain around midweek. It's been a beautiful day today, very comfortable with sunshine. Temperatures have been in the low 70s this afternoon. It'll be a cool night tonight, comfortably cool under a clear to partly cloudy sky. Lows will be mostly in the low to mid 50s, about 57 for a low in the city. Another nice day tomorrow, sunshine and some clouds, high 74. But clouds will increase a bit more tomorrow night. Might be a little bit of rain late, especially near the coast, a low near 60, and still a little rain around into Wednesday, which will be steadiest near the coast. Again, mostly a lighter rain, but much of the day will likely be dry north and west of the city, where there could even be some sun, a high near 70. And we do expect sunshine for Thursday, a high near 80. Sunny and 72 right now in Midtown. We're going down to 57. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Brian Thompson on New York's weather station, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
The way a former cop tells it, there are evil spirits out there, and he's going to track them down.
Chris DeFlorio says his 20 years as an NYPD cop prepared him to help people in a different way.
This is the next step. We're just taking on evil in a different form.
He says he's now investigating and confronting evil spirits.
It's very dangerous. I don't promote this to people to do unless you feel like you're called into this and you're equipped.
That's how he felt, and he did it for years until a warning, a voice saying, "We told you to stay away." That was the same message he had heard years earlier in a dream.
There's a lot that can go wrong, and it kind of stirred something up in me.
He took a break but couldn't stay away long, saying this is what he was meant to do. Mac Rosenberg, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
A federal appeals court upholds writer E. Jean Carroll's $83 million jury award against President Trump. The award stemmed from a case in which the author accused the president of defaming her after she accused him of rape.
The jury decided that there was significant harm to Carroll's reputation from those statements and awarded her $18 million in compensatory damages, $65 million in punitive damages, and the Second Circuit Court of Appeals upheld those awards, saying they were on the high end, but were fair despite Trump's appeal.
Correspondent Aaron Katursky. Prince Harry is back in London, but he apparently remains estranged from his family. The royals are observing the anniversary of the death of Queen Elizabeth.
It is 3 years to the day since Queen Elizabeth died, and London has been marking the anniversary with gun salutes this morning. Prince William and wife Kate paid tribute with an engagement in her honour, as did Prince Harry, who laid a wreath at his grandmother's tomb at Windsor Castle this morning. He is back here in the UK for the first time in months. He'll be at an awards ceremony this evening for Well Child, which is a charity he's patron for. What we don't know, though, is whether he'll see any of his family during this trip.
Correspondent James Longman. Americans who scored those super low mortgage rates a few years ago are now locked into another agreement. Their marriages.
Who wants to get divorced and split up the property when the mortgage is so low? A new report finds more couples are staying together so they don't have to sell the family home and lose those 2% rates they locked in when they refinanced during the pandemic. While some continue to live under the same roof, the Wall Street Journal says other ex and estranged spouses are going as far as living separately and